Good morning.
Good morning.
Before I get started, I'd like to remind each and every one of you that you are unique, amazing individuals, and you have more potential than you dream of. And that's what my talk's about, is realizing who we are through our original true nature and knowing that we can be more than we tell ourselves. Great and small, being and non-being. Great and small, being and non-being. Great and small, being and non-being. These words have been floating through my head since I had my first question and answer with Reverend Wang Gong. I came to this temple about 1.5 years ago for the Labor Day overnight retreat. We celebrated by practicing noble silence, meditation, qigong, chanting, had Dharma discussions, and ate amazing food. I was really blown away by my experience. I felt I had an alignment with the practice and wanted to learn more about Won Buddhism. So I scheduled a question and answer with Reverend Wang Gong, which leads me now to this talk. I bought the book, The Scriptures of Won Buddhism, from the temple shop and began to study. I had no idea what my questions were approaching the day to my question and answer. I decided to ask, what are universal laws and principles? I knew that we bowed to them, but I wasn't really clear what I was bowing to. The scriptures of Won Buddhism state, universal principles means the great and small, being and non-being of heavenly creation. The definitions given by the Dharma book are, great means the original essence of all things in the universe. Small means the mirrored phenomena are distinguished by their shapes and forms. Being and non-being as the cycles of nature's seasons, winter, spring, summer, and fall, as well as wind, clouds, rain, dew, frost, and snow. The birth, aging, sickness, and death of all things, and the transformations of creation, destruction, flourishing, and decay. So non-being is the truth of changing. I would like to express my understandings of this principle with you through the perspective of an artist. I thought of the analogy of a ball of clay as the one, the great. This ball of clay can be shaped into different forms. I can make a unicorn, a strawberry, a bull, but they look different, but they all come from the same source. The forms I make can be compared to the small, since small is the phenomena taking on a shape or a form. So this tells me that everyone's our brother and sister because we all come from the same original essence. The mineral, plant, and animal kingdoms originated from the same essence as well. As a gardener, I cultivate the plants in my garden with love and care, for I know that one day these same plants will be a part of my physical body. In order to make a more perfect world, we must find harmony in all other parts of the grander picture. If we live in harmony with each other, we live together peacefully. We help to create a new world in which people learn to live in harmony with each other as well as with nature. Maybe this isn't what we see around us so much. It sounds nice, but in the real world of duality, it seems like a simple concept, but it isn't simple. It's more complicated than that. when trying to understand great and small, I had a vision of how color can represent this concept. It's through a prism. If I take a beam of white light from the sun, this prism can create a rainbow. I don't know if I'm going to be able to capture a rainbow through it here right now, but if that one single white light hits this prism, it can bend the light into a rainbow. A rainbow is broken into individualized colors, yet they all come from that original source. Now, I almost left this out today because I thought colors don't have form. But yesterday someone pointed out that they're particles and particles are forms. So we put it back into the talk. Okay, so we have a rainbow with different colors, and we're all different. We look different. We're unique, but we are from the same. We have similar feelings. We all want to feel the same things, security in our lives. And so this talk is to help us address how we can see that around us better. Inside of each of us is a spark of divine intelligence. And knowing that we are a fractal of the whole, then we have greater potential than we realize. That is what inspires me to pursue art. I recently started painting. I've always been an artist, but have spent years not using my gift. Understanding that we are great gives us the opportunity to be more than our small thinking. I would think, I have no time for art. I have children, I'm a teacher, there's no time for me to do what I want to do, my passion. Now I am paving the way to make art part of my daily life. We just built a studio in the backyard, and I substitute teach, so I have the time and the place, so I can put my energy into that. I'm ready to use my creative potential that I was given and share it with the world. Each of us comes to this world with our own gifts. We are each a unique piece of the puzzle that makes the whole. And to make a completed puzzle, each piece is essential. I created a painting to go along with this talk. It is my personal way of seeing how the one fractals into the many and the interconnectedness of all things. This painting shows 3 individuals. Each individual has its own unique view of the Ilwan circle. I showed the Ilwan circle separating into infinity. I see it as each of us having 2 eyes looking out and perceiving it in our own way, which creates a myriad of viewpoints of the one. The one is broken into the many. I also included a magenta web representing our group consciousness. We are connected to each and everything through an invisible web of energy. This is what I saw one day when I was sitting in the 2nd row looking up forward at this scene here. Buddha's first words after attaining enlightenment were, "Wonders of wonders, all beings just as they are, whole and complete." All beings are endowed with Buddha nature. But because of their deluded thinking, they fail to realize it. Do we not realize who we truly are? The only difference between a Buddha and an ordinary person is a shift in perspective. A shift from the myopic to the vast. This is why we call everyone a Buddha in the Wan tradition. Okay, enough about great and small. Let's talk about being and non-being. Being and non-being is about the truth of changing. It can also be tied to the great and small. In the world of duality, the small, everything emerges into different shapes and forms. The forms are always changing. I can take the forms I made from the clay and put them back into that same ball. I can start again. Our lives are like the seasons. Just as the spring is a time of birth, we too have a time to be born. We die like the season of winter when the leaves fall from the trees. It's a cycle, a continuous process. Nothing is ever permanent. The clouds, wind, and rain change forms. We change forms. A season as a child, a season as a parent, a season as an elder. It made me think of the song Turn, 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 which was a book from the book of Ecclesiastes and rewritten by Pete Seeger and the Birds. I'll read a small piece. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die. A time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. When I think of us as having changing seasons within ourselves, I believe that we can grow and change into a greater version of ourselves by making the conscious decision to do so. I'm going to tell an honest story with you. There is a new version of me who loves more and gets angry less. I read this to my friends and they didn't believe it. They thought I used to hold anger. I grew up with someone in my family who struggled with anger. I thought it was normal to yell and fight with others. But when I became a mom, I saw these anger patterns, and I didn't want to share that with my children. This made me turn to my spiritual path and make a transformation of myself. The book titled Anger by Thich Nhat Hanh was a great guidebook. It taught me to be mindful of the emotions that were arising inside of me. I learned how to know when those feelings were coming and how to heal them through breathing and acknowledging my emotions. I knew I had to end the cycle of anger so I wouldn't pass it on to my own kids. You may have heard, be the change that you want to see in the world. You can't change the world, but you can change yourself. The season of love and peace happens when we transform ourselves as individuals and as a group consciousness. We chant in the prayer for world peace, may we transform delusion into wisdom, discord into harmony, and hatred into compassion. Evolution is a process of changing and developing. Since being and non-being is the truth of changing, then just as a cloud changes forms, our thoughts and emotions can change forms too. When I went to my last question and answer with Reverend Wang Gong, she asked me to give a talk on this topic. I was deathly afraid. I'm working on releasing the old and making way for a new chapter in my life. I am releasing old beliefs and thought systems that I have carried with me since childhood. I was once a girl who couldn't read as well as my peers. I hated to read aloud in class. We often had to do that. I was wounded as a child when it came to speaking in front of a group. In fact, here, I hardly ever speak and I shy away from speaking. When I raise my hand, whatever I want to say flies away and I don't remember what I wanted to say. In the Peace Corps, we had 3 months of training with fellow volunteers, and we had to give group presentations frequently, and I would hide behind everyone so I wouldn't have to speak. If I did have to talk, I was speechless and red in the face, my heart about to jump out of my chest. My current goal is finding my voice and expressing myself. I know that speaking in front of you was something that I had to do to conquer my fear. My season of living in fear of speaking in front of a large group is over. I feel much better. I am ready for a new season of living empowered through my art and through finding my voice. Our group consciousness at the temple supports us on the path of discovering our true nature and improving ourselves through the cycles of life. We are interconnected as we are united by the Ilwan circle. When we sit and meditate together as individuals, we are uniting as one, harmonizing the rainbow of light that makes up the universe. It doesn't matter if I'm from the blue strand or band of the rainbow and you're from the yellow. We are still from that same rainbow. The greatest lesson I learned from this principle is to expand our consciousness by living in unity with all other beings. My prayer for all of us is to awaken to our true nature, and as the season of spring approaches, that we may be ready to expand ourselves and to flourish as great beings that we truly are.